like strays. Climbing out the gutter, I am real like the frame. Wrapped in shadow, but they shine like noon. For hearts beating, sync with the.
All right. We have James here. He is our second guest on the Kings of That podcast, where we are talking about Black men's mental health. But today, specifically, we're going to be talking about the successes of overcoming adversity in terms of Black men. So just tell us a little bit about yourself, James, where you're from, what you do, just so the audience members can kind of know who you are.
All right. Well, my name is James Douglas. I'm a marriage and family therapist and mental health therapist, and I have a specialty in ADHD coaching. So I do a lot of support with teens, youth, and adults in regards to ADHD and their mental health and helping them manage that. I also do some wellness for Google and YouTube as the wellness director for about 200 agents in the content moderation space.
Okay, so we're gonna get right into it. We're not gonna waste any time here. So, what has been your experiences as being a Black man, kind of navigating this life, in terms of like overcoming adversity? You know, because a lot of times Black men, there's a stigma that you're not going to amount to anything. You know, women don't want us. All of these different types of all these stigmas that's bearing us down and keeping us from succeeding in life. So, what has been your success story? So, starting from like your struggles and then how you came up in life. So, talk us through that journey.
All right. So, for me, it was success kind of came easy. It was early. So, sports, I think, was a good outlet for me. Growing up. So I live with ADHD. So always having a sport, football, basketball, track was a great outlet for my mind and for my body. And it allowed me to really connect with something at an early age. School always came pretty easy for me, but I think it was in regards to having a really good support system. My parents were very helpful in that process of making sure I was on top of things and keeping me on track. The struggle for me was when I first jumped to college. So I ended up playing Division I basketball at Robert Morris University. And in that time, it's that first time when I'm on my own, managing life by myself. And it was hard for me to really navigate school, personal life, and academics. And it really took a hit to my confidence struggling academically in that space. It was the first time where I was really I guess, caught with a challenge that really set me back a little bit. It really hurt my confidence in a way that started making me feel like I couldn't achieve things or couldn't, I guess, fulfill the goal that I had for myself, which was to get a college degree at that time. So I ended up making it all the way to my senior year. And this is like low GPA, like, so not really even B's or C's, mainly just all C's, kind of getting through. Mm-hmm. And I ended up stopping my senior year and just started working. The plus side to that was that I did have the opportunity to manage people and also work in my field. So the field that I wanted to get into was psychology. So I was able to have a job in that space, which was very helpful. But at the end of the day, I knew that I wanted more, and I knew I wanted to still fulfill the goal of getting my master or getting my bachelor's, and then obviously moving on for my master's. But the GPA I had, there was no way that I could even apply for a master's program. So I took some time to think about it and come up with a plan to move forward with relocating. I ended up moving from where I was located to Florida. Mm-hmm. And in that time, I had a good support system, which I think is key. Family, close friends were there to always like have my back, kind of keep me motivated, to let me know that they're there for me, they keep me going. And then I ended up finishing the top of my class. So I started small. So I took 1 or 2 classes to get back in the swing of things, and ended up getting back to full time. And I finished.
Okay, and this was you about to graduate high school, or is it going into college now?
This is going into college now. Okay. This is toward the second time me kind of going back to college.
Okay.
Because the first time I just had to transfer those credits over to the new school because I was right there. So I ended up transferring over, had to take the prereqs, all that good stuff. But this was the first time to where I felt like I was in control of my academics and in control of the school life and navigating college. So once I figured out my routine and my plan, things started coming easy. And then day by day, week by week, month by month, I started building that confidence back that I once had. And then I finished my bachelor's in psychology with, I think, a 3.7, 3.8 GPA.
Okay. Come
And
through
then,
it.
yeah. And then that allowed me to now apply to master's programs.
Hmm.
So I ended up applying to about 4 schools in Florida, got accepted to all of them, which was very shocking and surprising. And that was even a big point in my life because now I had to pick which route I was going to go with the master's program. But I ended up choosing Barry University down in Miami. And there I finished my master's in 2 years, 3.9 GPA, and then started doing mental health and marriage and family therapy. So my master's degree was in counseling. And in that time of counseling, when I first finished, I started seeing a lot of families, individuals, youth, teens struggling to manage their ADHD. And it took some time, but like I would say about 6 months, 7 months, it clicked that ADHD is something I struggle with. It happens that I'm starting to see a lot of families that are struggling with this without me really having a specialty in it yet. So I really wasn't focused on ADHD at this time. It was just mental health in general. And I started thinking, I was like, man, I could really do a lot of justice and give back and really support the community with ADHD after kind of hearing all these stories and these struggles that these families and parents are having. So that kind of led me into starting my own business for ADHD coaching. And it has led me to work with individuals all around the world. And it's a pleasure to be able to not just focus on the state that I live in with counseling, but be able to really expand and work with people all across the country.
Okay, that's good to know. And I appreciate you, brother, for doing that because it's a lot of stigma in the Black community around going to see, therapists or counseling and stuff like that. So we need more people like you.
Thank you.
My next question I wanted to kind of ask, and then I'll kind of get into my struggles and successes too. But I wanted to ask you this question specifically. How did you like know that you wanted to become, this type of, counselor or therapist in a way? How did you know that you um, always knew, or it just kind of took some work to get to that point?
That's a great question. Great question. So for me, I actually knew my junior year in high school that psychology was the route that I wanted to go.
Okay.
So I always went to a Catholic school where I was located. And my junior year, I wanted to switch to a public school to play basketball for that team. And I ended up going to that school and actually not getting as much playing time as I thought I was going to get. But in that moment, you think like, oh man, this was a bad choice. I should have made this switch. But I would have never experienced that psychology class my junior year, which led me to wanting to pursue psychology. So I had the opportunity to have a psychology course at that public school that has led me in the direction that I am today. So even though it was something that at the moment I thought it wasn't a good decision, it ended up playing out to be a great decision and something that was meant to happen.
Okay. And you see clients now, a lot of people. Do you see
Yes.
just specifically Black people of color, or you see all types of races?
Yes, I see all types of races, but I have noticed a lot of young Black males kind of coming and looking for support, parents being able to see someone that looks like them and being like, this is a person that I would like to work with my son or daughter. So that has been a privilege to be able to support these families and these young Black individuals. But also, I do all races, all ethnicities.
Okay. All right. So now a little bit about my success. I mean, my struggles to my success. I grew up really poor. I didn't have much. I had an abusive father. Um, it was all of these things that I didn't believe in myself. He didn't believe in me, and the family dynamic that I lived in was really terrible. My auntie doing drugs, all of this stuff. Um, there was no uplifting. Everybody wanted to stay the same, and they still like that to this day. Hence why I don't talk to them. But to make a long story short, I understood something was wrong. Not only in the family dynamic, but also my mental health was declining, and people wanted me to stay stupid. They didn't want me to grow, and they was kind of envious of this. I even took a test that placed me out of getting like social security checks, and my auntie was like, "Boy, I told you to not go down there and play dumb." She didn't want me to elevate in life and all of that. And that kind of took a turn for the worse. She kept threatening me like, you're gonna, if you don't behave, that was place. She's gonna place me into a foster care and stuff like that, because I was living with her at the time, and my mom didn't have custody of me, and so she was like the sole provider. And anything that I wanted to do in my life, she was negative. And so I said I have to flip the script. I'm in control of my life. And when I realized that power, I took a test and I passed it. They said you don't need social security checks no more. And I was so proud of myself, but she was not proud of me, and she threatened to kick me out of her house before my mom can get custody back of me. And it was just so much drama down there from people walking in and out of her apartment, people coming in at all types of night. It was just like a, halfway house or something like that. That's what it felt like, because that's what people do. They come in and out and stuff like that. So it was no class about her at all. And she didn't like my mom. She didn't like my sister. It was just all of this craziness that was going on. The cousins was fighting all the time. I was fighting with my cousins. I couldn't stand them. It was just all this chaos, and I needed to find a way out of it. And so when a social worker came, she kind of asked me, "Are you okay? Because it doesn't seem like you're okay." Because she can read the body language. And I had to hide it because I didn't want her to think anything was wrong, because then they would put me back into foster care and I wouldn't be able to have access to no family if I ever seen them ever again. That's just how it works. Once you get placed into a foster care, it's really hard to kind of get acclimated back to regular family unless you have their phone number and stuff like that. So I kind of played it off and was like, everything's fine and all that. But she asked me one more time, "Is everything okay?" Because she saw something in my eyes, and I was really hesitant. I wanted to really tell her bad, but I knew the consequence of that. Yeah. But eventually, I ended up giving back with my mom and everything, and I was like, "Thank you," because that was horrible. And so I ended up going to a private school, and this is where the success part comes in at. And achieving that, passing to get into that high school. And then after that, I went on to Tri-C to get my associate's degree. And then after that, I went on and got my bachelor's degree. Not getting any more education because I don't need it. I proved myself that I was able to get through that despite where you come from. Because there's a stigma that if you're in the hood, you're not going to amount to anything. It's always going to be against you. But I like to turn and say something that a lot of Black men don't understand. There's power in, growing in life. You don't always have to stay in the same area or the same circumstances. And once I knew that there was a life outside of that hell, I was able to elevate my life, and I'm doing much better in my life. I got a good job. I went to school for IT and stuff like that. So I just know that just because you're in circumstances that, that's not no fault of your own. It just happened to be the way it is because of my father, but that's another conversation from another day. It just made me realize that you can do whatever you want in your life, and that the system is not always against you. You can always choose to, have a greater path in life and do the things you really want to do. And
Yep.
but you have to surround yourself with people that truly do love you and show support. Because in that toxic environment and with father and stuff like that, there was no love at all. Those people were evil, evil to the core. And you have to realize something is wrong. And we don't talk enough about that in households, families. Shut up. Don't say nothing, stuff like that.
Yep.
And I just wanted to bring that up because I know that it's men that's in the world today. They're struggling. They don't have a path and they don't know what's going on. But I'm here to tell you, and you can attest to yourself too, that it is a life and that things will get better outside of the hood or wherever you grew up in.
Yep.
Things will get better. So I wanted to kind of ask you a question now, just from hearing my experience. Why do you think why do you think Black men specifically feel like sometimes they don't have a direction outside of the hood, or is it just because they're not being exposed to the life outside of that, or friends and family like what I went through kept them down? What do you think is just probably a lot of combination? What's your take on that?
Yeah, I think that's probably going to depend on the individual and then that family system. I think it's really important, kind of like how you mentioned, having that support. Because if you think so, when you come into the world, your family is the people that you learn the most from for majority of your life until you get to the point of like having experiences and seeing new things and trying new things. But the power that the family has of providing positive words, uplifting them, showing them new things, exploring, trying new things, that can really be the starting point, I think, of knowing that there is more out there.
And sometimes you have to get outside of your family too, because
oh my God, yes,
sometimes your own worst enemy is with people within your family.
Yes,
so you have
true.
to have a life outside, friends and other people that you can look up to get you out of those environments too.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes, very true.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I was going to say it's one of those things to where, for me personally, I wasn't making any progress until I had a plan. So you got the support system that's there that has my back, the plan to do or achieve any goal that you kind of set for yourself. And then I think it's really important to understand that it's not just going to change overnight. We have to gradually move in the right direction. And with consistency, I mean, sky's the limit.
Yeah, and brings me to the kind of the ending of the conversation that I wanted to kind of touch on is like, what are some resources that if people are in the hood or they are in a part where they're not really friends and family is not elevating them, what are some resources that you think that could help them to elevate their life and see that there's a life greater than what they're used to? What is some resources that you think, like whether it's community resources that you might know of, or just things? I know you can't speak to everybody in the world, but it's just some of the things that come to the top of your mind. Like, what's some resource you think that can kind of help them get out of the situation if they're struggling and don't know another avenue?
I would say local community center. If there's some type of community center in the area, in the city, I would say like a Boys and Girls Club, somewhere where they can have like maybe like a big brother, big sister, kind of come and support them, kind of get away. I get out of the house, go there, do activities, try new things, experience and see new things. I would say probably those are the top two.
Okay.
Depending on the school system, guidance counselors, maybe school.
Yeah, and guidance counselors can connect you to outside community resources as well too.
Yes.
So don't sleep on that, and definitely get you a mentor.
Yeah.
That's important too, because I had this mentor when I was in 7th grade, and he stayed with me all the way into college. I was really blessed to have known him. He was a white guy. So just because, and that's another thing that a lot of people don't know. Sometimes success is not going to always look like, your color.
Yep.
Sometimes other people from another nationality will offer to help you if they see the potential in you.
Yep.
And But there is the importance of seeing a fatherly figure that people can look up to and stuff like that. So I understand that aspect, but don't think just because it didn't happen to you or it won't happen for you with somebody else that you won't never achieve anything in life. So
I agree.
I want people, black men specifically, to kind of elevate in life and stop, read a book, travel outside the hood, see if you can get into any programs that's going to take you out of the hood for a day or two to kind of see what life is like, and that your inside bubble is not as small as you think it is. Because what I noticed, because I used to work with elementary students, and like they said, I'm never going to amount to anything, so why are you even here trying to help me? They was just so defeated in life. And I felt so sorry because, like, coming in as a tutoring, you can't change their life because you don't have access to them outside of the school, but you can connect them to community resources and things that's going to help them to kind of elevate and to kind of get their motivation up, because it's going to be a lot of people that deter you and degrade you in life. I've been through a lot,
Yeah.
but that's a whole nother conversation for another day. But I do thank you though for coming on here, James. Is there any way that they can find you on social media? Do you have any businesses or websites that you can reach? And I'll put the link in the description as well too, but just say it out loud.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So my Instagram is ADHD _coach _James. My website is www.mindfullymanaging.adhd.com. And you can also find me on LinkedIn, just James Douglas Jr. And then you'll see it attached with Mindful ADHD. And then my TikTok is mindful.adhd.
Okay. All right. It was nice having you, brother. And don't be a stranger. Please message me if you ever want to come back, because I do the show with some other group of guys too. But sometimes they work in the morning, so it doesn't always work out with the schedule that I had today. But they come on later at night. So that's how I kind of get them. But if you ever want to meet them and talk up a conversation with them, I'll be happy to connect you with them as well too. But I will be posting my socials in the LinkedIn private chat, so you'll be able to follow all of them as well. And please post your social so I can follow you as well too. So
okay,
we want to help each other and build each other up. That's important as being Black men,
Yeah, that sounds great.
All right.
Thank you for having me, Darren.
All right, you too. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Fight, dodging like strays, climbing out the gutter, iron will like the frame. Wrapped in shadow, but they shine like noon. For hearts beating, sync with the